I walked into the office that morning feeling happy. It was my birthday, and I didn't expect much, maybe a few kind words or a card. But as I stepped in, I saw balloons, cake, and all my coworkers gathered around. They cheered, sang, and clapped. I smiled, a little surprised but thankful. At the center of it all stood Jordan, the boss's son. He was only 25 and had just been promoted. He didn't earn it. Everyone knew that. But there he was, acting like the king of the place. He handed me a slice of cake, smiled wide, and said, "Come with me. I have a surprise for you." I followed him, thinking maybe there was a small gift or something funny planned. Instead, he took me into his office, closed the door, and said, "You're fired." At first, I thought he was joking. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. But he leaned back in his chair and smiled even wider. "That's the surprise," he said. "Happy birthday." My heart dropped. I couldn't speak. No reason, no warning. Just like that, I was out. I stepped out of the office in shock. Everyone was still laughing and eating cake. I felt sick. I picked up my bag and walked out without saying a word. People stared. Some looked confused. A few looked away, pretending they didn't see. I held my tears until I got to my car. But what Jordan didn't know was that I had been ready for something like. For months, I saw how things were changing. Jordan had been trying to push me out quietly. He'd mess up and blame me. He'd take credit for my work. I started saving emails, tracking his mistakes, keeping everything backed up. I wasn't stupid. I had seen the signs. So when he fired me, he thought he won. But I already had my plan. He gave me the last piece I needed. I had the proof. I had the voice recording. And I had nothing to lose. I went home, opened my laptop, and looked at the folder I had named Jordan_Burn_. It was all there. Every lie, every stolen report, every shady email. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I smiled. The surprise wasn't mine. It was his. He just didn't know it yet. 6 months ago, everything at work changed. One morning, we were told that the CEO's son would be joining the company. His name was Jordan. He was 25, fresh out of college, and had no real experience. But just like that, he was given a high-level position. No interview, no training, just a big title and an even bigger ego. From day one, it was clear Jordan didn't want to learn. He arrived late, left early, and spent most of his time scrolling on his phone or talking about how he would fix things. The boss introduced him proudly, saying he was the future of the company. We were expected to treat him like a leader. I was told to train him. At first, I tried to be patient. I explained how our systems worked, showed him how to handle reports, and helped him with meetings. But he didn't care. He didn't listen. He would nod while I talked, and then do whatever he wanted. Soon, he started making mistakes, bad ones. Clients were upset. Deadlines were missed. Reports were full of errors. Each time something went wrong, he pointed the finger at me. And each time, he got away with it. I went to HR to explain what was happening. I told them I was being blamed unfairly. I even showed them examples. But they told me to keep the peace, and reminded me that Jordan was family. They didn't want trouble. It got worse. Jordan began to copy my work. He would take reports I wrote, change the name, and submit them as his own. He sat in meetings and repeated things I had said earlier, pretending the ideas were his. People started thinking he was doing a good job. Meanwhile, I stayed silent. Then he began to ruin my projects on purpose. I'd spend weeks preparing something, and the night before a big deadline, he'd go in and change everything. He'd delete files, change numbers, or send the wrong versions to clients. And when the damage showed, he'd act surprised and blame me again. I knew I couldn't keep going like this. So I started saving everything. Emails, messages, files. Anything that could prove what was really happening. I kept a folder on a flash drive and backed it up at home. I didn't tell anyone. I just waited and kept smiling. Jordan thought he was untouchable. He acted like the whole company belonged to him. He'd laugh with other managers, throw small insults at me during meetings, and make it clear I was no longer important. Every day felt like a battle, but I didn't fight back. Not yet. I kept doing my job, even when it felt pointless. I watched him mess things up again and again. I watched him take credit and get praise while I stood in the background. But the more he tried to break me down, the stronger my plan became. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to argue. I was just going to wait until the time was right. The office started to feel strange. People were whispering in the break room, looking over their shoulders before speaking. Something was going on, but no one wanted to say it out loud. I kept my head down, listening quietly while pouring my coffee. That's when I first heard it. An internal audit was happening, quiet and unannounced. Only a few people knew, and they weren't supposed to talk about it. There were also rumors about missing files and strange numbers in the reports. A few clients had complained about delays and wrong information. People said someone was changing data or hiding things, but no one could prove it. I started to wonder if Jordan was involved. I had seen him mess up before, but now things seemed more serious. One day, while checking my inbox, I got an email from Jordan. It didn't make sense. It was a long thread that clearly wasn't meant for me. At first, I thought it was a mistake, but as I scrolled down, my heart started to race. The email had messages between Jordan and 2 other managers. They were talking about making changes in the company. They used words like clean house and remove problem, and my name was on the list. It wasn't about work performance. They were planning to get rid of me. Jordan wrote that I was too comfortable, that I knew too much, and that the company needed fresh energy. It hurt to read, but it also confirmed what I had been feeling. This was personal. He didn't just want my job, he wanted me gone. As I kept reading, I found something worse. Jordan had been sending reports to clients that I had made, but he took my name off and replaced it with. He was copying my work, word for word, and claiming it as his own. He had changed dates on files to make it look like he completed them. He even edited documents to remove my comments and input. It was clear now, he had been lying to everyone for months. That email thread became the key. It connected all the rumors, the audit, the errors, the missing reports. Jordan was behind it. He was trying to cover his tracks and blame others if anything went wrong. I saved the whole thread and added it to the folder I'd been building. Every lie, every fake report, every plan to remove me, I had it all. After that day, I stopped wondering if I was just imagining things. I wasn't. I saw the truth. Jordan didn't care who he hurt. He wanted power, and I was in his way. But now I had the evidence. I just needed to stay quiet a little longer. Jordan called me into his office one afternoon. His tone was cold, and his face carried that same smug smile he always wore. I stepped in, calm on the outside, but ready for whatever he had to say. He leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms, and stared at me like I was beneath him. "I know you're not happy," he said, without any care in his voice. "But this isn't personal. It's just business." I didn't respond right away. I waited, letting him speak. "You've been here a while. You think that means something," he went on. "But it doesn't. Loyalty doesn't matter. Results do. I'm building something here. I need people who follow me, not people stuck in the past." His words weren't surprising. They only confirmed what I already knew. He didn't care about the work I had done, the long hours, or the years I gave to the company. He didn't even try to hide it. "I'm protecting my legacy," he said, smiling wider. "Not yours." I stood there quietly. I looked him in the eye and nodded once. Not because I agreed, but because I was done listening. He thought he had won. He thought I had no options. He didn't know I was already ahead of him. For months, I had been collecting proof. Emails, files, project documents, messages. Anything that showed what was really happening behind the scenes. I had been careful, never letting anyone know. Jordan thought he was smart. He didn't notice what I was doing. He was too busy bragging and playing boss. And I wasn't just watching him. I was watching others too. There were more like him. People who got jobs because they were family or friends, not because they worked hard. I saved everything. I knew which departments were involved. I knew which names were always connected to mistakes that were covered up. I saw the pattern and I followed it. Jordan thought I was powerless. That day in his office, he expected me to break, to argue, or maybe to beg. But I didn't. I just looked at him, calm and quiet. Then I turned around and left. I didn't need to fight with him. I didn't need to prove anything to his face. The truth was already sitting safely on a drive at home. Every lie he told, every file he stole, every step he took to ruin my work, I had it saved. I wasn't just going to protect myself. I was going to show the world exactly who he was. As I walked back to my desk, I felt no fear. No anger. Just focus. Jordan had made it personal, but I wasn't playing his game. I had my own, and it had already started. 2 weeks before my birthday, I decided I needed help. I had all the files, emails, and proof, but I wasn't sure what to do next. I wanted to be smart. I didn't want to rush or make a mistake, so I made 2 quiet moves. First, I met with an employment lawyer. I didn't go through work. I used my own time, my own email, and kept everything private. I explained the situation, showed some of the documents, and waited. The lawyer read everything slowly, then looked at me and said, "You have something serious here." He explained my rights and what the company had done wrong. He also told me not to speak to anyone at work about this. I agreed. I had no plans to warn them. Next, I reached out to someone I had met at a networking event months earlier. She was a journalist. Back then, we had talked briefly over coffee. I remembered her card, found it in my drawer, and sent her a message. I didn't say much, just that I had information she might be interested in. She replied within an hour and asked to meet. We sat down in a quiet cafe. I brought my laptop, showed her pieces of what I had found, and told her about Jordan, the company, and everything in between. She listened carefully. Her eyes didn't leave the screen. When I finished, she leaned back and said, "This is bigger than one bad manager." She was especially interested in the hidden bonuses, the way some executives were paid much more than others without explanation, and how complaints were buried. She said these were signs of something deeper, something people would care about if it came to light. She promised to look into it, to do it the right way, and to keep my name private unless I said otherwise. After those meetings, I felt different. I felt stronger. Not just because I had help, but because I wasn't alone anymore. The weight on my shoulders was still there, but now I had a plan. At work, I stayed quiet. I didn't tell anyone what I had done. I didn't act differently. I still showed up, smiled, and did my job. Jordan walked around like he was the king of the place. He laughed louder, gave more orders, and acted like he couldn't be touched. He thought I had given up. He thought I was defeated. But I let him think that. I let him brag. I let him smirk. Every time he walked by my desk and gave me that look, I just smiled back. He didn't know that every single thing he had done was now in the hands of people who could do something about it. He believed he was untouchable. I knew his time was running out. My plan was in motion, and I was going to make sure it hit him when he least expected it. You're absolutely right. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's fix that. Here is a fresh, non-repetitive 600-word version of Birthday Massacre, written in simple, easy English without repeating what was already told in earlier outline. The birthday firing was the last straw. It didn't hurt because I lost my job. It hurt because of how he did it, like it was a game. Jordan had planned it, timed it, and enjoyed every second of it. He smiled while saying the words. No empathy, no respect, just pride in his voice, like removing me was an achievement. As I left the building, the noise of the office faded behind me. The sound of laughter, forks tapping on plates, people pretending to care. None of it mattered now. I had given years to that place, but to him, I was just a name to erase. I didn't cry. I didn't break down. Instead, I went home, changed into comfortable clothes, and sat at my desk. I didn't need to scroll through emails or check messages. Everything I needed was already there. The folder had taken months to build. I didn't make it out of anger. I made it because I knew people like Jordan always overstep. I knew one day he'd go too far. And now he had. I plugged in the USB drive. The light blinked once, and the files opened. Dozens of documents, screenshots, voice notes, and timelines were already there. Each one linked to another. Each one telling a part of the story. I moved slowly, carefully. I went through every file one last time. Not just to make sure they were complete, but to remind myself that I wasn't imagining. Every missed credit, every stolen report, every time he silenced someone, it was all real. Jordan thought being the CEO's son gave him power. But what he didn't understand was that power without caution leads to collapse. He believed no one would ever question him, that no one was watching, that no one had the courage to speak up. But I was watching. He fired me to silence me. He thought that would protect him. But he didn't know I was already 10 steps ahead. That night, I changed one thing. The name of the folder. It had been saved under a basic title before, but now it needed something better, something final. I renamed it simply, Jordan_Burn_. No emotion, just facts. I backed up the folder again, this time in 3 places. One in the cloud, one on a second USB, one on my private hard drive. Then I shut the laptop. I lay down in bed and stared at the ceiling for a long time. Not because I was worried. I wasn't afraid of what was coming next. I just felt ready. I knew it would be big. I didn't know how people would react. But that wasn't my concern anymore. I had done my part. The truth was complete and untouchable. Let him enjoy the little power he had left. Let him brag to his friends and pretend he was safe. The match had been lit, and Jordan had no idea the fire was already coming. Monday morning came quietly. I woke up early, not from habit, but from something else. I knew what was coming. I sat on the edge of my bed with my phone in hand. A message came in. It's live. The article was out. The journalist had done exactly what she promised. She didn't soften the truth or leave out the detail. The headline hit hard. Nepotism, theft, and toxic culture at company name. Her words were sharp and clear. She told the full story, not just about me, but about the entire system inside the company. She laid it all out. The copied work, the fake promotions, the ignored complaints, the silenced voices. Names were mentioned. Quotes were included. Screenshots of real emails were shown. The internet caught on quickly. Within hours, people were sharing the article everywhere. Comments poured in. Some were shocked. Others weren't. Former employees started speaking up. Some shared their own stories of being mistreated. Others backed up everything I had shared, word for word. Reddit threads exploded. People were posting old screenshots, inside jokes, private group chats, and even photos from company events. Stories I had never heard before started to come out. I wasn't alone, and now everyone could see that. Then the numbers started to fall. The company's stock dropped hard. Investors panicked. It was all happening fast, faster than I expected. The news spread beyond social media. Local outlets picked it up first, then a few larger ones followed. Jordan's name was trending by noon. but not for good reasons. His photo from the company website was being shared with mocking caption. Someone even made a meme out of the birthday cake. I didn't post anything. I didn't like or comment. I watched in silence. The story didn't need me anymore. It had taken on a life of its own. People who used to ignore me at work were now messaging to apologize. Some said they regretted not standing up. A few even thanked me. One said, "You did what we all wanted to do but never dared." Inside the company, chaos had begun. Emails were being blocked. Meetings were called. Some employees were locked out of their accounts. But out here, the truth was spreading too fast to stop. Every time someone tried to deny it, another voice came forward. There were too many now. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about exposing what had been hidden for too long. And even though it started with my story, it had become much bigger than me. I closed my phone and sat quietly for a while. The sun was coming through the window. The world kept moving. But something had changed, not just online, not just at the company, but inside me. The silence I carried for so long was gone. And now, everyone could hear what I never had the chance to say out loud. The CEO issues a panic statement. He says the company is taking the situation seriously and that an internal investigation has begun. He also says that Jordan has been suspended until everything is sorted. The message is rushed, full of business talk, and clearly written to calm people down. But it's too late. No one believes the company anymore. Not the staff, not the public, and definitely not the investors. The comment section under the statement is filled with angry messages. People demand real answers. Former employees start sharing more stories. Each one makes things worse. Inside the company, things begin to fall apart. HR is overwhelmed. The head of the department resigns. A few others follow. Some employees are told to stay home. Others quietly start looking for new jobs. Managers try to act like everything is normal, but the fear shows on their faces. Shareholders are angry. They hold meetings and ask hard questions. The company's value keeps dropping. People who once trusted the leadership now want nothing to do with it. Some begin selling their shares fast, hoping to get out before more damage is done. I keep my distance from all of it. I don't reply to messages right away, but my phone buzzes all day. Co-workers, both past and present, reach out. Some just say thank you. Others open up about how they were treated too. They say they stayed quiet for years, afraid of losing their job. Now they feel seen. A woman from another department sends a long message. She says she watched everything happen to me, but didn't know how to help. She apologizes. I thank her and tell her it's okay. None of this was easy. I understand. While everything falls apart at the company, Jordan tries to speak for himself. He posts a long message on LinkedIn. It's dramatic and defensive. He says he was attacked by jealous co-workers who didn't want to see him succeed. He blames the media. He says people misunderstood him. He doesn't mention any facts. He doesn't say sorry. The post backfires. Fast. People start mocking him. His comments are filled with screenshots and facts. No one is on his side. Even people who once supported him go quiet. The internet doesn't forget, and now it doesn't forgive. A few parody accounts appear, copying his post and turning it into jokes. Someone edits the company's About Us page into a meme. Others begin digging into more of his past behavior. More details come out, and it becomes clear that this wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a pattern. I don't feel joy watching him fall apart. I don't feel sorry either. I just feel done. Like the part of my life that held me down is finally behind me. I don't post anything. I don't celebrate. I simply let the truth speak for itself. And now everyone is finally listening. A week later, I received an unexpected message in my inbox. It was from the CEO. I opened it slowly, not knowing what to expect. The message started with an apology. He said things had gone too far. He said mistakes were made, and that he regretted what happened to me. He talked about wanting to rebuild trust in the company. Then came the offer. He asked me to come back. He said they needed strong and loyal people like me. He promised a higher salary, better position, full benefits, and even a private office. He said it was time to make things right. I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Then I typed a short reply. You already had me. You chose him. And I pressed send. That was it. No more words. I had already made my decision. I wasn't going back to the place that threw me out like garbage. I wasn't going to return to fix the mess they allowed to grow for years. 2 days earlier, I had spoken to someone from a rival company. They reached out after the article went viral. They said they were impressed by how I handled everything. They liked that I stayed calm and smart through the chaos. We had a long conversation, and I liked what I heard. They offered me a new job. Same field, higher position. They wanted me to lead a team of my own. The contract included full flexibility, growth opportunities, and a strong support system. And there was a signing bonus. The funny part? That bonus was funded by investors who had just pulled out of my old company. Money that once supported Jordan's lies was now helping me start fresh. I accepted the offer without hesitation. I didn't need to think twice. It felt good, but not just because of the money or the title. It felt good because I earned it. No shortcuts. No favors. Just hard work and truth. When I walked into the new office, it was nothing fancy. But the people greeted me warmly. My new manager shook my hand and said, "We're lucky to have you." And this time I believed it. No one whispered behind my back. No one looked down on me. I wasn't the girl from the scandal. I was the woman who stood her ground. I set up my desk, turned on the computer, and opened a blank page. It was time to start again. A new job. A clean space. No shadows from the past. Outside, the news kept spreading. More people left the old company. More truths came out. But I didn't watch closely anymore. I had moved on. I didn't need revenge anymore. I had something better. Peace. And the chance to build something real, without anyone trying to tear it down. 6 months later, I was at a big tech conference. It was crowded, full of energy, and full of new ideas. I wasn't just attending. I was now leading my own team. We had a booth, a product, and a goal. It felt good to be respected, to be heard, and to be in control of my work. We spent the morning talking to people, sharing demos, and networking with companies. I was busy but happy. Everything I had gone through felt far behind me now. I was focused on the present and the future. Then, in the middle of the crowd, I saw a familiar face. Jordan. He was alone at a small table in the corner. No company name, no team. Just him, holding a tablet and trying to talk to anyone who walked by. His face looked tired, his eyes red. His clothes were wrinkled, and he kept checking his phone like he was waiting for a call that never came. I stood still for a moment, watching. He didn't see me. He was too busy trying to get anyone, to listen. I could hear part of his pitch. He was explaining an app idea, but people were walking past him without stopping. I didn't walk over. I didn't wave or say anything. I just turned and walked the other way. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt nothing at all. Whatever power he had over me was gone. He was just another man in a crowded room, trying to start over. Later that day, I stopped at a bakery booth at the back of the conference. I picked out one small cupcake, simple chocolate, nothing too fancy. Then I wrote a short note on a blank card. Surprise, smiley face. I didn't sign it. I didn't need to. I had someone deliver it to his table without telling him who it was from. I didn't watch him open it. I didn't want to see his reaction. That cupcake wasn't about revenge. It was a quiet goodbye. I returned to my booth, stood beside my team, and smiled as we shared what we had built. The past didn't follow me anymore. It stayed behind, right where it belonged. That day wasn't about him. It was about me. And this time, the surprise was mine to give. Sometimes walking away is the loudest thing you can do. I didn't shout, I didn't fight. I just let the truth do the talking. Now everything's changed, and I can finally breathe. Want to hear more stories where karma comes full circle? Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss what happens next. And share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think.